Welcome to the BMP RAM user guidance video series. Each video is designed to be about 10 to 15 minutes long and provides supplemental information to the user guidance document available for download at bmpram.com. This video, entitled Determine Your BMP Type, Decentralized BMPs, guides you through the concepts and decision points to determine your decentralized BMP type. Another guidance video is available which addresses how to determine centralized BMP types. A structural BMP is a physical structure that has been specifically sized to accept, attenuate, and/or treat urban stormwater runoff through some combination of detention, retention, or filtration. Structural BMPs are implemented on public and private property to improve downstream water quality by either reducing runoff volumes and/or capturing pollutants and reducing the associated concentrations. In most instances, structural BMP sizing is based on site considerations to treat regional stormwater volumes generated from the contributing urban drainage area, such as the 85th percentile 24-hour precipitation event or 20-year 1-hour storm. Common stormwater nomenclature includes dozens of individual names for structural BMPs. BMP RAM focuses and refines this naming complexity by defining structural BMP types and their physical characteristics, and the combination of processes relied upon to improve downslope water quality. Users of BMP RAM must identify the structural BMP types per one of the BMP RAM 14 defined types, rather than relying on previous naming conventions. We believe this nomenclature simplification and consistency improves communication, improves the understanding of the expected water quality performance of any specific structural BMP, and makes water quality effectiveness data collected from structural stormwater BMPs of the same type more directly comparable. In BMP RAM, each BMP type has a unique set of data inputs for each step completed by the user, including inventorying the location of a structural BMP, establishing benchmark and threshold values, and conducting a series of specific field observations to determine the condition of the structural BMP at the time of assessment. BMP RAM directly addresses the fact that a BMP's condition declines over time and periodic maintenance is required to sustain treatment effectiveness. BMP RAM assessments can be repeated year after year to cost-effectively inform appropriate maintenance schedules and document BMP improvements when maintenance is performed. In order to assess the condition and relative maintenance priority of structural BMPs, BMP RAM requires different inventory and field observation data inputs depending on the BMP type. Defining the correct BMP type is therefore essential. To get started, you must locate the BMP. Only BMPs that have been constructed and are in the ground should be inventoried in BMP RAM. In other words, hypothetical BMPs or potential BMP plans cannot be assessed by BMP RAM. The most accurate way to determine the BMP type is immediately following construction, because at that point the purpose and design of the BMP will be most apparent and institutional knowledge will be fresh. We realize that many BMP RAM users may be inventorying older BMPs that have been in place for several years, and engineering design plans or other construction or installation specifications may be difficult to find. All BMPs should be visited in the field to confirm the BMP type. Do not rely solely on design reports. For one, construction does not always follow design. Additionally, older BMPs may have transitioned to a different BMP type due to poor maintenance or vegetation growth. Once the BMP type is identified, design parameter and benchmark and threshold values are entered into the tool based on the BMP type. These data can be collected while on site, and the details for data collection and entry are provided in the user guidance chapters 3 and 4. In the case of older BMPs, maintenance may be required prior to completing the benchmark and threshold setup. BMP RAM groups BMP types into two categories, centralized and decentralized BMPs, and determining the type of the BMP of any structural BMP is a critical first step of the BMP RAM user. Centralized BMPs are typically larger and designed to treat stormwater generated from drainages that may be many acres in size and include a mixture of urban land use types. Decentralized BMPs are commonly designed and installed to reduce runoff from smaller drainage areas of a single land use type, such as a commercial parking lot or multifamily residential roof. The remainder of this video guides you, the BMP RAM user, on how to determine the BMP type of decentralized BMPs. Second Nature has a second video which systematically defines how to determine your centralized BMP type. Decentralized BMPs are typically smaller in size than centralized BMPs and are designed to treat runoff from a small area, typically less than an acre of a single land use type. Generally, they are less costly to design and construct than centralized structural BMPs. BMP RAM defines 7 decentralized BMP types based on the common features and the fundamental processes they rely upon to improve water quality. The 7 types listed here are Biofiltration, Bioretention, Bioswale, Catch Basin, Infiltration Feature, Porous Pavement, and Settling Basin. As you can see, we have also provided examples of other common BMP names for each of these 7 decentralized BMP types. We use the flowchart on page 20 of the user guidance to walk you through the key decision points when determining your decentralized BMP type. The first question that we have to ask when categorizing a BMP is if it is a small to moderate in size and/or if it generally accepts runoff from a single land use drainage area. If the answer to this question is no, the BMP is most likely a centralized BMP, and there's a separate user guidance video and classification flowchart that addresses those. If the answer to this question is yes, it qualifies as a decentralized BMP, and you're watching the right guidance video. We next need to know if the BMP provides stormwater volume reductions via infiltration to the subsurface and associated pollutant load reductions via retention in the subsurface. For example, is the base of the BMP native soil, or has it been excavated and replaced with a highly permeable media, such as gravel or cobbles, to promote infiltration? Note here that BMPs designed with an underdrain to capture the stormwater after it has traveled through this media do not infiltrate and are addressed in another part of this flowchart. If this is an infiltrating BMP, we then want to know if it ponds stormwater to encourage particle settling, and if it has a specialized soil media to retain and transform pollutants. That is the BMP designed to retain or attenuate flows to reduce velocities and allow for particle settling prior to releasing the storm event volume? And is there a specialized soil media to further encourage retention of particulate and dissolved pollutants within the BMP? If yes, you have a bioretention BMP. Bioretention BMPs are vegetated retention structures where the base of the BMP is not lined and allows for exfiltration of stormwater volumes to the unsaturated zone. Designs may or may not include an underdrain to route some of the fraction of treated waters to the stormwater system. They also may or may not include a rock or aggregate subsurface layer to enhance storage and infiltration. The outlet design for a bioretention BMP allows for some ponding prior to outflow, typically to a depth of about 6 inches, and may be a passive surface outlet like a curb cut or a piped overflow. Bioretention BMPs are constructed with specialized soil media to a depth of 1.5 to 2 feet in order to enhance the retention and transformation of pollutants via biogeochemical processes. If the BMP infiltrates stormwater but does not retain flows in a pond, then we ask if the BMP is a distributed surface without a discrete inlet or outlet. That is, does the BMP replace a typically impervious surface like a driveway, sidewalk, or parking lot? If so, it is classified as porous pavement. Porous pavement is a durable, pervious surface that is used in place of typically impervious materials like concrete or asphalt. Porous pavement materials overlay a crushed stone base that allows the stormwater to percolate and infiltrate into the underlying soil. It may include a gravel reservoir to allow for storage and infiltration over time. Stormwater is not routed to porous pavement, but instead porous pavement minimizes the runoff generated from a typically impervious surface. The BMP is not porous pavement, that is, if it has a discrete inlet and/or outlet and infiltrates stormwater without ponding, then it is classified as an infiltration feature. Infiltration features are typically placed along the existing stormwater flow path, such as roof drip lines or road shoulders, to encourage infiltration of conveyed stormwater into the unsaturated zone. Typically, native soils are excavated and replaced with coarse drain rock or other highly permeable material. There is no vegetation within an infiltration feature. For BMPs that do not directly infiltrate stormwater to the subsurface, we want to know if they provide stormwater volume reductions via inundation of an adjacent vegetated area during storm runoff. If it does, the BMP is categorized as a bioswale. A bioswale is a flow-through area that is not highly designed or engineered, but has dense vegetation coverage across greater than 80% of its surface. Runoff flows over the vegetated surface, allowing interaction with the vegetation to encourage retention of particulate and dissolved pollutants. This vegetated surface also encourages infiltration, but the degree to which volumes are reduced will vary based on the native soil and vegetation types. For non-infiltrating structural BMPs, we next return to the question, does the BMP pond stormwater to encourage particle settling, and does it have specialized soil media to retain and transform pollutants? That is, are these BMPs designed to attenuate flows and allow for particle settling prior to releasing the storm event volume, and is there a specialized soil media to further encourage retention of particulate and dissolved pollutants within the BMP? If the answer is yes, you have a biofiltration BMP. Biofiltration BMPs are vegetated areas where stormwater is filtered through a specialized soil media and discharged via an underdrain. They may or may not be lined, but little to no exfiltration to the unsaturated zone occurs. The outlet design allows for some ponding prior to outflow and may be a passive surface outlet like a curb cut or a piped overflow. These BMPs are constructed with a specialized soil media to a depth of 1.5 to 2 feet to enhance the retention and transformation of pollutants via biogeochemical processes. If the BMP is not a biofiltration feature, we ask if it is a non-vegetated basin that physically separates particulates by way of settling or other separation techniques. Such BMPs are classified as catch basins and settling basins. Catch basins are designed to capture and retain sediment, leaf litter, trash, coarse particles. Capture may occur through various flow modifications or passive settlings, but result in a vertical accumulation of material at the base of the BMP. Little to no volume reductions occur, and these are typically placed within the stormwater flow path, alongside a road or within a parking lot. Settling basins are very similar, but they are typically placed at the inlet to a larger BMP. Field observations of settling basins require installation of a permanent staff plate, therefore we recommend using the designation sparingly. If draining a single land use, we suggest calling it a catch basin. If draining multiple land uses, we recommend designating it as a small treatment vault. For more information on treatment vaults, see the guidance on centralized BMPs. Finally, drop inlets are features that can appear very similar to some catch basins. However, these features only collect and convey stormwater. They do not provide any volume or pollutant treatment. Again, this flowchart can be found on page 20 of the BMP RAM user guidance, accessible for download from the BMP RAM website. There are several instances where a user may have trouble distinguishing between two different BMP types. Following, we provide some guidance to differentiate between the commonly confused types. First is biofiltration versus bioretention versus bioswales. All three of these BMPs are vegetated with species that can handle both stormwater ponding and drought conditions. Bioswales tend to be densely vegetated with over 80% of the surface covered. Biofiltration and Bioretention features both have a soil media that is specialized to retain pollutants, whereas Bioswales do not. And biofiltration and bioretention features have outlets designed to pond water in order to encourage particle settling, whereas bioswales do not. Both biofiltration and bioretention features are highly designed and engineered, whereas bioswales are not. The main difference between biofiltration and bioretention features is that biofiltration BMPs have an underdrain. They may be lined, and they do not infiltrate stormwater. Bioretention BMPs are not lined, and they do infiltrate stormwater. Bioswales are also unlined and are intended to infiltrate stormwater as it passes across the vegetated surface. As for underdrains, biofiltration features typically have an underdrain and bioswales never do. Bioretention features can go either way. Sometimes a user might wonder if they're looking at an infiltration feature or if it is a bioretention, biofiltration, or bioswale. The clarification for this is quite easy. Bio-anything features have vegetation, whereas infiltration features do not. Porous pavement versus infiltration features. These two BMP types were addressed together in the flowchart, but to review, an infiltration feature receives stormwater from an adjacent impervious surface, whereas porous pavement is a replacement for the impervious surface itself. Both BMPs infiltrate stormwater. Catch basins versus settling basins versus treatment vaults. All three of these BMPs treat particulates, but none of them infiltrate stormwater. Catch basins are typically vertical structures constructed within an existing flow path. Settling basins are very similar, but they tend to be larger and rectangular and usually have flows directed to them rather than being placed in an existing flow path. Additionally, they may or may not be used as a pre-treatment before runoff enters a larger scale BMP. Neither catch basins or settling basins are proprietary BMPs, whereas treatment vaults commonly are. We recommend using the catch basin designation as much as possible to avoid having to install a permanent staff plate, which is necessary for monitoring and assessing settling basins. If the BMP appears to be a settling basin but has multiple land uses draining to it, our recommendation would be to call it a treatment vault. And lastly, we have catch basins and drop inlets. These two features can be easily confused as they can appear very similar on the surface. The major difference here is that catch basins treat stormwater by allowing particulates to settle and be captured in its sump. Drop inlets have no sump and thus do not capture any particulates. They only convey stormwater and are not a structural treatment BMP. This brings us to the end of this guidance video. Please visit bmpram.com and secondnaturellc.com for more information about BMP RAM and our other stormwater assessment tools. BMP RAM was originally created in 2009 and is incorporated into the Lake Tahoe Clarity Crediting Program. Recent refinements have been developed in collaboration with the Central Coast Regional Water Quality Control Board and the Low Impact Development Initiative. We are extremely appreciative of the continued public agency encouragement and support. Good luck ramming, and be sure to check out our other instructional videos. Thank you.